Actually, Yemen. Okay. All right, Yemen. Yemen. That's South Arabia. That's also sometimes called Kush. And that's the home of the land of Abyssinians, or the Habash, or what we call Ethiopia nowadays. But the Ethiopian are divided into different peoples too, but they're related. The point of this, as I had said before, was to show that Prophet Muhammad SAW was actually of Ethiopian lineage, or I should say Habisha lineage. That wasn't the only lineage in him. He had Israelite lineage. And one of my other videos, I'll finally be doing that when I complete that one, his Israelite lineage. So what I basically do is I want to come at everybody on everybody's lineage. So if you a Hebrew Israelite, so I'm going to show you from the Israelite lineage about Prophet Muhammad. If you, a Nile Valley or about, ancient Cushitic or Ethiopic, however you want to say it, aspect, a Nile Valley, a Pan-African, whatever you want to call it. If you're coming from that angle, then I'll show you his Sabian or Saba and Ethiopian lineage, and give you the understanding that in actuality it was Cushites, Sabians, Israelites who came up out of Arabia that went and fought against the Persians and the Romans. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sister. And so I have to establish that because the Freemasons, who are anti-Islamic, especially towards within the black nationalist circle, they've been spreading this same ideology that they've been pushing everywhere else. Them along with some of the Caucasian Arabs. So this this right here, what I'm showing will be if you want to call it, a double-edged sword. And the double-edged sword, it will go towards the so-called quote-unquote white Arabs who want to claim the lineages that are mentioned in here. And it will also go against the anti-Islamic black nationalists who want to say that Islam is not an African religion. Because before I continue this, what is African? African is the if we're talking in the context of what is known today as what we're calling Africa, regardless of what we just read, right? But if we're going to call that as, the boundaries and borders of what we're calling Africa today, we have to remember that it was Europeans that called the certain boundaries of what we call Africa today. And then they turned around and called Asia what is Asia today. They named it on the maps that. But in actually ancient times, wherever a tribe existed or a family line existed, that's what that area that they occupied would be called. So if the Cushites dwelled in somewhere in the parts of Nubia, then that area would be called Kush. If they dwelled some parts of Arabia, that area would be called Kush. If they dwelled somewhere in India, that area would be called Kush. And it's the same thing with every other lineage. You see, wherever they dwelled at, that name was named after them. But today we got this concept that, it's something different. So when you come to a person and they say, well, that's an African religion and that's not. And the people that establish actually the ideology or the understanding or comprehension are African, or so quote unquote called African, then you have to ask them what is their agenda? Why are they trying to push that? So for any of you that's inside scripture, you'll know that Yemen is commonly called, it's the land of Shem. Okay. And at times it's the land of Cush, right? It is said the capital Sana used to be called Azul, which was established by Shem, and the place called Hadramaut was established by Eber. So when a person is even going according to the Hebrew Israelite concept, this is where they would have to go back to if they're going back to Shem. And today it's called Arabia. It's South Arabia. Okay. The land of Sheba. So here you have where it says right here, Yemen was the home of the Sabians, a biblical Sheba or Saba, a trading state that flourished for over 1,000 years and also included parts of modern day Ethiopia. So modern day what you call Abyssinia, or in the ancient times, Aksum. Okay. But Aksum was Ethiopia and Eritrea. Okay. Eritrea. In 275 AD, the region came under the rule of the later Jewish influenced Himmerite kingdom, which, when I show you a little bit more in depth, if this phone don't keep acting up, the Himmerite, actually are related to the Habash. It's all the same people. They just divide into different family lineages. Okay. But the Himmerite or Ahmyarite are actually what you would call the Amharic. The Amharic is what is part of the Habasha people, along with the Eritrean. Okay. What is it? What's the other name? Along with with the Eritrean. All right. Now it says that Christianity arrived in the 4th century, whereas Judaism and local paganism was already established. Islam spread quickly in the 7th century, and Yemenite troops were crucial in the expansion of early Islamic conquests. Right? They fought against, the Persians and the Romans. Now, one thing before I continue, you got to know the history of something. You see, the Aksumite Empire was at war with the Persian Empire. So really what you're seeing right here, which I'm about to show you, as if you keep following, is that in actuality, all of these were we're talking about right now, were part of the Aksumite Empire. Yemen, Ethiopia, Eritrea, all of these were part of the Aksumite Empire. Okay. And what you got to understand is that when Prophet Muhammad SAW had came, when he was coming out, the Persians and the Romans had taken over the region, and Aksum had already fell under Persia's, basically Persia's influence. So the revival of what Prophet Muhammad SAW came with, a lot of people don't understand that when he came out of Arabia, although it was about the oneness of Allah, Tawheed. Now listen to that word Tawheed. If you go back into ancient Arabic, which is Ge'ez is also part of Amharic, which is ancient Ethiopian tongue. And Ge'ez, they have a word called Tawhido. Right now, the Christian Ethiopian church uses that word, Tawhido, but it means the oneness or the unity, right? So that just tell you right there that it's the same. It's basically the same language in a roundabout way, right? So, okay, we know about this Yemen, and we see the Saba and the Sabians and stuff like that. So we're going to go right here. Now we're going to see some confusion that these guys try to cause. But this is the most truest one here. The word Saba. We just saw Sabian. Oh, it's still doing it. The word Saba means to incline, to turn over. The Arabs use this verb for when a man has left his religion and is inclined to another one. But you're going to see something. That is a later meaning, because it does mean to incline or to migrate or to move away. But what in actuality the name comes from is that the Sabians eventually leave Yemen in the Maghreb area. So let me see if I get this. Hold on, bear with me. Okay, we're going to start with that first, then we'll go. The meaning Tawhido. Tawheed. One in Arabic is Wahad. In Ge'ez has Ahad. In Hebrew is also similar. Tawheed. Ethiopian Orthodox Tawhido Church. So my point is this. You already know the Arabic that is used is actually an Ethiopian language. It's a dialect of Ge'ez. Okay? So that should automatically let you know. See around here it says Amharic. Ge'ez and Amharic. And you'll know the difference soon. Well, it's a minor difference. It's not much of a difference. So we can X that out. All right. Bear with me. It's going to get a little bit more. Prophet Muhammad was often called a sabi. I hate this phone. This phone's acting up. Ibn Juray, who lived in the 8th century, wrote, Muhammad is Sabian. He's of Saba. And I'm going to prove it. Now, these have different ways. Talking about Saba had a word evolved and things of that nature. Things of that nature. We don't need all that because the Sabians believed in the prophets and prayed 5 times daily. See that? Zayd ibn Abi, who was the governor of Iraq during the first Umayyad Caliph, wrote, the Sabians believed in prophets and prayed 5 times daily. So this is why the Prophet ﷺ said that this is not nothing new, right? Some of it had been lost or forgot about, especially after Aksum had fell apart. These, when you hear about people going to Abyssinia and you hear about the first migration when Muslims went to Ethiopia, which actually it was the Eritreans who were ruling at the time under the more than likely Bahir Nagus, the Najashi, the king. Is Tigrinya is the language. Okay. Tigrinya is the people that's related to Amharic or Habesha. They're a group of Habesha. Right? And they're Nagus. So these are the people that was met. See that? Kingdom of Aksum. Okay? These are the type of people that the first Muhajirun, the first migrants from Mecca to Aksum or Ethiopia, when they went there. By that time, they came up under more of the Jewish understanding. The group among them, the Beta Israel, matter of fact, were more likely in power. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Before I go here, I want the difference between Ethiopia. And we get into African sites now. And this is a newspaper. This is actually a Tribune from Sudan. So, you know, I got some European stuff to back what I'm saying, but I also try to stick with, you know, some people like, oh, you just got European stuff. Well, I got African stuff too. But this is not what I'm looking for right now. We will get back to that. Trying to find what I had established. These are the different faces. Not yet. Done with that. Last ancient Muslim city discovered in Ethiopia could reveal details of Islam's history in Africa. Okay. But we're not dealing with that. I'm just showing you different things. True origin of Habesha. Yes, it's once again recycling. Okay. So this is coming from the horse's mouth. Not to call them brothers a horse, but you know. Habesha, Himyar, Saba, Radan, Kasu, Kush, Emuka, Kubar. You know, Kubar is actually the word Akbar comes from, right? For great, right? But we'll get into that some other time. And yes, it's related to post-Aksumite capital in Eritrea. But that's not what I'm looking for either. Seems like my other stuff got... Oh, no. You don't need to see my face. You know my face. Well, you can look at my face. You want to see my face there? X that out. Okay. I had some other stuff, but this is from Hayatul Sahaba. Okay. Because I want to come from here first. And the whole point of this is to just establish that I know I had subhanAllah. Somebody messed with my stuff. But hey, I should have been watching over it a little bit better. It's all right. Bear with brother. Okay, had it all right. Okay. That's in Sham. Did I even put it up here? Okay. Hold on for a second. Let me think for a second. Okay. What am I looking for? I'm looking for... Oh, man. Let's see. What am I looking for? Khazraj. Oh, Kuzaa. That's what I'm looking for. Alhamdulillah. Kuzaa. Not Kuzaa. That's not looking for Kuzaa. SubhanAllah. Kuzaa. Banu Kuzaa. Or sometimes Kuda'a, depending on who you're talking to. Okay. Now we're going to get some of that. Okay. Banu Kuza'a is the name of an Azdite. I want you to remember that name. Cottonite tribe. Some say Mudorite, Adonite. And when you trace it back, it's all related, though. That's the funny thing when they be making these big deals about it. Which is one of the main ancestral tribes of the Arabian Peninsula. They ruled Mecca. Listen, they ruled Mecca for a long time. And most of the tribe now live in and around that city. They're also present in lesser numbers. Okay, so I'm going to click Azdite. Tracing back. The Az are Azdite, an Arabian tribe. They were a branch of Kalan tribe, which was one of the two branches of Qatan, the other Himyar. Now, Himyar is in Yemen, and Qatan goes back to Yemen too. And here's the thing I want you to focus on. In ancient times, they inhabited Marib, the capital city of the Sabian kingdom. So Saba. So if you look in your Quran, Surah Saba, that's why you see that there. Okay? In Yemen, their lands were irrigated by moderate dam, which is thought by some to have been one of the engineered wonders of the ancient world because of the size. When the dam collapsed for the third time in the 1st century, a large number of the Az tribe left Yemen and migrated in many directions. Az is also widely used now. Okay. So, these are the different branches of Az. Okay. Now, you remember it says that they ruled Mecca. Okay. They ruled Mecca. There was another tribe also called Kuda'a. And some people say that they're the same tribe. Kuda'a and Kuza'a, the same tribe. My point being is this. Is that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam his lineage, when you look this up, remember that name Kuza'a, and you look up Fatima bint Assad. Okay, Lele, Murad, Kalab, Kusay. I'm almost there. Hold on. Fatima, Caves, Salma. So when I do my Muhammad's Israelite lineage, we'll be focused on right here. Salma bin Amr Banu Najjar. But we're not focused on that part. Okay, because that's where a lot of his Israelite lineage will come from. But we're going to go back before that. Okay, we're going up to, I believe it's Kusay. Yep, Kusay. Click on Kusay. Kusay ibn Kalab ibn Murad, also known as Kusay or Kusay. Now, notice how they're using interchangeably the Q and the K, right? So they do that a lot. That's why they say, some say, that Kuza'a and Kuda'a is the same tribe. And we're gonna get to them, but I want to establish something real quick. Now, what does it say? It says he is the great grandfather of the Islamic Prophet Muhammad, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right? So you always want to go here. And this is going to establish an Ethiopian lineage. See, I noticed something. There's a pattern. When you come right here, you have to actually dig. You actually have to dig. 1 second. Life in Mecca. When Kusay came of age, this is an important name, Hulel ibn Habshiyah. Now, Habshiyah or Habasha is the various names of saying Habashi. He's the chief of Bani Uza tribe. Was a trustee and guardian of the Kaaba. Okay. So Kusay asked for and married Hulel's daughter, Huba. When his father-in-law died after a battle in which ended arbitration, he committed the keys of the Kaaba to Huba. Hulel, now Hu in ancient Yemeni dialect means oh, like when you're saying you're calling to somebody. And Leil means night. Now, often when we hear about the crescent, we also call it Leil, but in actuality, Leil is night, like Layla Tokada, right? But the crescent is synonymous with Leil, right? So when people say, look at the Leil, it's connected to, if I remember correctly, Hilal. Okay, but it says Hulel preferred Kusay as a successor from his own sons according to Hulel's will. I hate this song going on. Kusay got the trusteeship of the Kaaba after him. Okay. Kusay brought his nearest kin of Quraysh and settled them in the Meccan Valley besides a sanctuary. Now you have Quraysh Bitta, which is the hollow, the outskirts, whereas remote kinsmen settled the ravines surrounding Quraysh al-Zawahir, which is Quraysh of the outskirts. Zawahir is outskirts, meaning the outer part, and Quraysh of the inner parts. But my point is this. See? I can't believe it. The point is this. Now, when we connect to Banu Kuda'a, what does Banu Kuda'a take us back to? Okay. Asdite. Hanite tribe. So there we go again. We connect the Asdite. So we already established Azdite. In ancient times, they inhabited Maghrib, the capital of Saba, to the Sabians. So Prophet Muhammad SAW is a descendant of Sabians. Saba. That's on the other side. Now, if you continue from Qusay's side, you'll end up also in Yemen too. And my phone is 15%. I got it. Hold on for a second. Okay. Okay, so here's one who from Qusay, the Khuza'ah. So these are the different places where they left to. Thalaba ibn Amr left his tribe Al-Az for the Hijaz. Okay, Hijaz is right by over there by Mecca, and dwelt between Thalaba and the Qar. When he gained strength, he headed for Yathrib. Yathrib is what we call Medina today, where he stayed. Of his seed are the great Az and Khazraj. Now the Az and Khazraj, now you know that they are indeed descendants of Saba. They're Sabians. When you go look ancient back research, you know the Sabians are Ethiopians. Okay? Sons of Harith at Thalaba. These were to be the Muslim Ansar. So when we recite the Quran where it talks about the Ansar, okay? You know, you also read about some of the Muhajirun. These are actually Ethiopians. Hold on. Excuse me. These are actually Ethiopians. These are Habasha. And we can get into the influential people of the tribes of Ad. You know, but they also, real quick before I really trying to get into my main stuff, because this is just Wikipedia stuff, but I have to get into what. So, you know, they participated. Remember the Battle of Trench? Okay. They participated in the Battle of Trent. The Banu now began arousing the nomads of the Naj Nader enlisted the Banu Gaftan by paying them half their harvest. This is the contingent, or I should have said, skip forward. Now we're in the time of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and it's the Battle of the Trench. Okay. All these names are going to mean something if my phone don't die. But you understand the lineage of Banu Khuza'ah is very much involved in this. Okay. There's at the Battle of the Trench. Okay. There always goes back to breach the Maghrib Dam. Away from the eyes when they left. I had some. That's what I had on here. That's what I'm missing. I'm missing Ibn Kathir. Right there. Ibn Abi Abdul states, Ibn al-Qawi of the opinion that Amr ibn Luhay. Now, Amr ibn Luhay is the first one that actually brought idol worship into the Kaaba. He's the one that first brought Hubal into the Kaaba. And there's a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ said he was dragging his intestines in the hellfire. But we're gonna continue on. Let's see. Right here. Son of Kalan, who's the son of Saba. The son of Yashjab, the son of Yarab. Now understand the word Arab comes from this word Yarab right here. So you see the Sabians, who are Kushite Ethiopians, are synonymous with being Yarab, Arab. Okay. This is why we say African Kushite or Arabs. So it's actually a false when some people say, oh, that land wasn't called Arabia. You're right. The individual's name was Yarab, and he is connected to Saba. Okay. Right there. Khuza'ah a ashabihi, which means he is lagged behind his companions when they are walking. So they were called this because they were behind their people when they came from Marib. Okay. So you see that? When they came from Marib, that's why they were called Ashabihi. Okay. The Qaza'a. So the whole name is all connected into Yemen and Saba and Ethiopia. And this is just one of the lineages. I haven't even got into the Adnan lineage on the father side, which they say connects Qatan and Kuza'at to Qatan, or Adnan, which connects back to Ismail. And another lineage goes back to Keturah, the other wife of Nabi Ibrahim. And as I showed you, Najr, she goes back to an Israelite lineage. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was very unique in that he had many different lineages, so that when he came to a people, among his people, whatever lineage you was of, he could talk to you, and the Quran would say, remember this or recall that, and they would quote certain stories. And now this is something right here that I want to say before I continue all the way, is that this is why it's funny when a lot of the Pan-African anti-Islamists, when they start to say, oh, they copy the white Christians who say, well, Muslims, the Quran plagiarized from the Bible, right? They always want to get as though you plagiarized from the Bible. And they fail to realize that that's the most ridiculous thing to say, because number one, the Quran is called the recital. Okay. We're reciting that which, what is heard. And when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ okay, let me give an example like this. If I was walking to a room and we're all black people, and I was walking to a room and I had Christians there and I had Hebrew Israelites there and I had people in the Nile Valley there, and they were all my people. When I wanted to relate my moral point of view to them, I'm going to bring up something from their traditions, right? Something from their stories. And I'm going to say to them something like, kul, say, it's going to tell you, you're going to think, say this. And then you're going to say, remember this, or remember that, or recall this, or recall that. And then I'll tell you the story. And then when I get to the end of the story, then I'm going to make my point to why I'm telling you to remember this story. So now if a person was to write that down, what I was saying, you can't call that plagiarization. You can't say I'm plagiarizing, because I'm standing there giving you a speech and I'm telling you I'm recalling you to a story that you're familiar with in the scripture that you go by. So it's not plagiarism if somebody wrote it down, of what I'm saying and the point that I'm trying to give. And that's why the Quran always says this is a remembrance. This is a reminder. Right? So they got that completely wrong in itself. All right. So now I'm going down now. Batun right here. Fratres. What that means is like frat. Back to the word frat. Okay. And that means brotherhoods. So right here is telling you the ancient times, the tribe of Kuza'ah was subdivided into a number of Fatres or Butun. Okay. Well, Fatres means it's like a frat, is a brotherhood. Now, notice the names here of a few. So Habash. You know it's Ethiopian. Banu Habsha. Habasha. Oh. The son of Salul. Banu Kumer ibn son of Habsha. Banu Datir son of Habsha. Bani Halil son of Habsha. Okay. Banu Kalib son of Habsha. That's Ethiopian. Tribe of Kuza'ah. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is a descendant of Kuza'ah. Okay. So when the Muslims came up out of Arabia and they went into Egypt and they fought the Romans, or they didn't fight them in Greece. They actually gave it up in Greece, but they fought the Persians and Romans. These were Africans. That's just Wikipedia stuff. I'm done with that. Let's get into some things. Okay. X that out. All right. Because, and it's written by an African, Biyan Najash. Najash. So we familiar with that. Excuse. Oh, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Khadija. Alhamdulillah. Yes. I put it on the charger, but I could have sworn I had it all the way charged on full. I don't understand what happened. Okay. I'm thinking I should go into my Facebook. I should go into my no, I'll go by this. I really, hold on, let me think for a second. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. So what I'm doing real quick, just story of Saba. Are you guys there? Sister Khadija, are you still there? Are y'all still there? Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Is this going pretty slow, or how's the pace? Is it going slow, or is it taking too long? Okay, alhamdulillah. So we're going to Ikrasis real quick. So we're going to go into Ibn Kathir. Okay. Although I confirmed it, I wanted to go into some things real quick. So we know, we cover it, and then I'll hop into that because it'll be much easier for me, and I know that I actually covered it right. So we into the Quran stories about Saba. I'm just going to. So we just read about Khuda'a. Okay. Right, we're getting there somewhere now. Just. Okay. Make a stage. It's okay. All right. All right. So I'm going to the place where it says they would disperse. Because we just said the word Saba was to move, to incline, to go. And then they said, well, it means, moving from one religion to another. That's a meaning that came later on top of the meaning. But in actuality, okay. We almost there. We almost there. Alhamdulillah. Okay, there we go. Alhamdulillah. All right. You want to do that? Oh, that's the problem. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, inside the Quran, you see it says right here. So we made them as tails in the land, and we dispersed them all totally. And that's in Surah Saba. So you know who they're talking about. So this is in Yemen. Same place we've been talking about. Right? The migration. Here we go. So here's where the Israelites coming at. 2. Along with the rest. After the destruction of their gardens, meaning the gardens of Maghrib in Yemen, from the flood, from the dam Maghrib that burst. Properties of land, they needed to move away. They need to move away. So that's the word Saba, to move. So they got scattered in different parts of the land. As some of them moved into the Hijaz, which is by Arabia. Listen, look at it. They got a name right there. What's that? Kuzaa. Kuzaa moved to Mecca. Okay, so that's Ethiopians going to Mecca. Some of them also moved to Medina. That's Ethiopians in Medina. And they were the first to inhabit it. Then they were followed by 3 tribes from the Israelites. And yes, there'll be a video I'll show you that the Israelites are originally from the land of Shem, because the land of Shem is Arabia or Yemen or, you know, at what time Pacha talking about Cush or Saba. Okay, that's why they're there. Tribes from Israel, the Banu Kuneka, the Banu Qurayza, and the Banu Ad Nadir. The Jews made coalitions with the Az and Khazraj and lived there to the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that lets you know right there that the Cushites, the Ethiopians, were there all the way to the time of the Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad himself is a descendant of Kuzaa. His relatives are in Medina, who came to him from Medina to give him help when he was trying to teach the message in Mecca, among some of his other relatives who did not want to accept what he was saying. So this is a, you know, it's a whole family things. So I just want to, you know, establish that real quick, that indeed those are Ethiopians or Sabians. That's why the story of Saba is in there. Okay, that's why the story of Saba is in there. So we just established that the Ethiopians were in Mecca in the time of the Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad is a descendant of Kuzaa, which are Ethiopians, which are Sabians. Another name around that, his other name is Kudaa and Habash. Okay. So here we go. We're gonna give this one. All right. Kingdom of Oxum. Now we're going back. So this is a Eritrean site. So this is what we're in the Horn of Africa now. We're Nile Valley now. For all the Nile Valley people. Okay? So Islam is not African. They might want to rethink that one. Let's talk from another. Okay, getting some PhDs. Abyssinia, Al-Habasha, the original language. The Abyssinian history goes back to 2 Arabian tribes. Goes back to what? Habasha and Agaz. Agaz is where the name Geese come from. When you say they speak Geese, so one of the oldest Arabics is Geese. In Geese, they say Tawhido. In the form of Arabic that we say right now, when we say La ilaha illallah, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came forward, he said Tawheed, Ahad, Wahid, or Surah Al-Ikhlas, Kul huwalahu ahad. Both are Humarite tribes. Their origin goes back to Humir. And Humir, as is mentioned in Lisano Arabic dictionary by Ibn Manzur, is a patriarch of the tribe of Yemen. He is Humari, son of Saba, son of Yashin, son of Yanabin, Khatan, and from them came all the kings of the first epoch. regarding the historical period in which two tribes immigrated to Abyssinia. Now they throw some Italians, to back themselves up. The Italian orientalist Gordy says, we do not know for certain when the Semitic migration to Abyssinia started, but for certain it was not prior to the 5th century. Perhaps it was concurrent with their migration to north of the Arabian Peninsula. Okay. Well, I'm not caring too much what he say. That's good. The brother just wants to quote that. So he's quoting, different scholars, what they say on the issue, before he gives what he's got to say. The French Orientalists. Okay. Oh, here we go. Gradually they went up. Okay. All right. French Orientalists who made an analytical study of the Abyssinia inscriptions that found holds the opinion that the Habasha is an Arabian tribe that migrated long before the 5th century and first settled in the Eritrean coast. Eritrean coast, Samhar Plains. Gradually they went up to inland, to the highlands, up to the region of Yeha and Aksum, where they blended with the native Cushites. Now remember, they're already black because they're Ethiopians. But now they throw the word, of course, Africanized. So now you got your Cushite Arab. You got your Cushite Ethiopian. And out of this blend came the civilization that preceded the civilization of the kingdom of Aksum. So what you actually have here, this blend happened according to this French Orientalist, not to, take the view all the way, but he's saying that before the kingdom of Aksum was even formed, that this mixing occurred from the black Habasha, okay, who came over into Eritrea, right? And they, of course, are from Kush, native Kushites, but actually many Eritreans are Shem. And I'll also show you where Yosef ben Yakanan, he says that in the book of Aksum, which the Aksumites wrote, okay, they differed with what is in the Bible. According to them, they said that Shem, Cush is the son of Shem. Whereas inside the Bible, it says that Cush is the son of Ham. Okay. But we know that there's two Sabas. We know that there's the Seba of the Nubians or the Cush. And we know that there's the Seba of the, what we call Arabia today, or Yemen. And so these two actually mixed is what this is saying right here. Right. The inscriptions were discovered in Abyssinia, modern day Ethiopia, reveal the worshiping of South Arabian gods, especially Al-Magah, moon god symbolized crescent, disc, horn. The historian Jawad Ali, for instance, mentions that among valuable archaeological findings in Aksum, a stone with sabian inscriptions in the wall of an old church. Also, a remnant of pillars were found in the site Yeha, which is located northeast of Adwa, that indicate the existence of Sabian temples dedicated to God, sin. Okay. But go here. Designation of Habeshan Arab genealogy. Okay. So Ibn Khaldun, though I don't like quoting Ibn Khaldun because he was a racist, he is a Persian who had a lot of bad things to say about black people, but we want to quote from whatever angle we can to get at somebody to let them know that even from a racist like him, he's quoting something. They always tell some truth. There is an authenticity in Arab genealogy for the name Al-Habash. Hold on. Regardless, this phone is acting up to date. However varied it is to pinpoint, we find it, for example, in the genealogical chain of the leader of Khuza'ah tribe. As mentioned by historian Ibn Kathir, he is Hulail ibn Hubsha. son of Salu, son of Kab, son of Amurah ibn Rabi al-Khuzai. Ibn Khaldun says to Khuza'ah belonged the custodianship of the house Kaaba before Quraysh, Ibn Kab, Umar Blay, and it ended up to Hillel ibn Habshiyah. Okay. Now, I do prefer a lot of stuff that Hamdani, he's good. This one right here. Hamdani, an ancient Yemeni historian of Humud origin, says in his discussion of tribal subdivision of the children of Rabi'ah, Ibn Adi Arab, who begets Al-Sam bin Tariq Abba, another way of saying Habash, from among the Hadramat tribes. Now, Hadramat's in Yemen, mentioned by the scholar Salim al-Kindi in his book Hadramat, History of Hadramat, the tribe of Ahmad bin Zayn al-Habash. He also cites many names that belong to the tribe which I mentioned. Ahmad bin Jafar al-Habashi, Abdullah ibn Salim al-Habashi, Isa ibn Muhammad al-Habashi. All right. So we're going to go like this. Okay. Researchers say that the word Habisha comes from Researchers say that the word Habisha comes from Tahabush, meaning congregation. Other meanings that I've read on is that it means to gather stuff together, to come together. It also means to gather incense. You're gonna find that out here in a second. Okay, well I'll tell you what. Okay, I'm gonna give you a site. So you can go here. Now you're getting Horn of Africa sites. Awati.com, Abyssinia, Habasha origins and language. Okay, written by Bayan Najash. Okay. So from here on out, the Pan-African anti-Islamists, they need to, which I don't believe they will, because they have a Freemasonic agenda to push. Except for those who really mean to have just, to be just in what they state. Let's go to another brother. There's something I did want to share. It's full of articles. I mean, it's full of from Africa to correlating to Europeans. Okay, the Agiz language. Here we go. Agizian from Yasib. It appears that the tribe of Agiz or Giz or Agazian has a connection with Gaizan, an area located south of the Arabian Peninsula, which is currently known Jizan or Jazan. Recent archaeological discoveries in Yemen has confirmed, and particularly in inscriptions of Al-Waqir, that the name Gaazan is the correct pronunciation and not Jizan. Okay, that might even be the word where the word Gaza comes from too. Let's see. There's one specific one I wanted to share. In southern Yemen, there's a valley. Here we go. Called the Valley of Giza. The valley was the home of the Al-Agaiz tribe and is named after it. It is still known by this name to this date in the region of Al-Mahra. You see that name, Mahra? So now we got a name here, Mahra. Remember that name, Mahra. Okay? Because this name, Mahra, these were the main tribes who in the time of Prophet Muhammad SAW were at the heads of coming out of the Arabian Peninsula to fight the Romans and the Persians. And Mahra, when the French and the English came into contact with them, they said the name Mohri. And from that came the name Moor. So people saying the name Moor, actually Mahra is the original word. Okay. I'm not trying to go against the Moor, the Moorish ideology. I'm just saying that, claiming a Moorish nationality, you would have to go back to this original word Mahra right here. And the Mahra are Saba, and Saba are Habasha, and Habasha are, so that we're looking at that right there. But, there are a group of, households in Jordan who trace back their ancestry to the tribe of Gaza or Tagazi. Okay. Well, there's many people trying to, okay. Where is there's one specific one I wanted to show you that is real to the point. See, I can go for, and you know what? I got so much. I can go for hours on this subject to, beat the anti-Islamists into the dirt. I'm not trying to sound proud, but I'm sick and tired of, it's just ridiculousness. They claim, people claim I'm the master researcher. I'm the master researcher. No, you just spitting out, certain things that, you was told. I mean, you didn't even know that the word Africa. How's the Torah against anti-African when the Africans are identified inside of the books as being Edomites and Esau? But no one in none of the circles have come out with that yet. I bet you somebody will now though. But now hopefully the Hebrew Israelite, hopefully this changes everything. Hopefully they'll say, oh wow, Africa is mentioned in there. It ain't from no Ham. And people could stop standing on the corner talking about dirty, stinking African. I'm not trying to cause that. I'm just saying people need to reshape, because they got to understand the Freemasons have infiltrated almost every movement, and they have cast Eurocentric concepts about everything. Torah, Islam, and everything. I mean, in one of these videos that I get into, I'm going to show you that in actuality, the Israelites, all of them come from Yemen. All of them come from Arabia. The land, Arabia is just came from the one specific name, Yarub, right? But this is the land of Shem. Okay. This is the land of Shem. So any Semitic language you speak, this is the origin. And the most ancient of the Semitic language, well, we're talking about them right now. They're the origin. So we're on the Horn of Africa right now, Tigri and Arabic. Okay. Cause they're related. The Arabic is from the original language. It's from Tigri. It's from, partially the, Amharic, Tigri, all that is related. It's basically the same language. Or the Habasha. Okay. I think right there. Let's say Tigri, well, human right comes in the measure of Mount Habashi. Matter of fact, let me get that. I need to hurry up, get to what I'm saying what I'm saying, but I really want to put this in perspective real quick. I basically have, but so much. Hold on. Geez. Hold on. Okay. So here is Tigri, and here is Arabic. Okay. Similar word, Hesibi. Okay. These is Tigri, or Eritrean, and Arabic. And as you could tell, the names are similar because that's the ancient Arabic. the Tigri or the Amharic or all those related like that. Those are the ancient Arabic. The Habash. And this, the Arabic that we speak, Quraysh migrated from Yemen and are Saba. I can go to another one. Hold on. This better one. Hold on. Oh, let's see. Let me see. Hold on for a second. There we go. That's better. All right. So that's the transliterated for people. So we got an Eritrean Kuni and the Arabic Kana. Kumi Kama. Hasabi Hasaba. Baki Baka. Tuf in Eritrean, Tafa in Arabic. Tabik, Tabaka. See? Meheri, Mahara, teach. Habi, Hiba, gift. And so on. So that's the Arabic script we go by. All right. So on and on and on and on. Islam is African. If we talking what is known, what is people calling stuff. Islam is African through and through. Through and through. So let's hop over here. All right. All right, I'm about to run. Here we go. See it focusing. Okay. Now, according to Dr. Edward Glaser, the renowned, I don't like Mahri language. Okay. The Mahri language, Mahra, which means gatherers, as in gatherers of incense. He asserted that folk. All right. All right. But the king of Zania, okay, Dr. Glaser seems to be right in claiming the original Habashas were from Yemen. The original Habash are from Yemen. In fact, the earliest mention of the word Habisha in the Horn of Africa was only in the 4th century by the Aksumite King Izana. After conquering neighbor kingdoms and territories on both sides of the Red Sea, Izana styled himself this. Izana, king of Aksum and Himyar and Kasu and Saba and Habasha and Radan and Salhan and Bija. Bija is in the Nile Valley, the Bija tribes. King of kings. We shouldn't use king of kings, but okay. And there they are. So all these Habasha, Saba, Himyar, they're in the area of Yemen, and they mixed. And Kas or Kush mixed with them. And Kubar, that was a city in Eritrea. Okay. If I remember correct, let's see. Post-Aksumite capital in Eritrea. That was the capital, post-Aksumite capital of Eritrea. Kubar. So that's where the name Akbar comes from. When you say greatest. It's great. So that in itself is African. It stems. So now I'm just going to go, okay. It is not until long after the Aksumite kingdom had ended that Arab travelers and geographers began to describe the Horn region and its inhabitants as Habishas. The first among these travelers were Al-Yaqubi, who visited the region. From his chronicles, we learned there were 5 independent and rivaling Bija kingdoms in present-day Eritrea, and that Habishas were living alongside them. He also mentions an important Habisha capital near the Eritrean coast called Kubar. The site is still undiscovered, but is believed to be in Eritrean. So they say. Like that. So, I mean, these are later scholars that came way later on. Some of them by this time, these ones quoting all this and saying that they seem to be maybe having some white Arab, starting to have Turkish blood and stuff like that. So now I'm just what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go to my, Facebook room, and then I'm going to put on some of my fast stuff, because I got fast stuff too. Okay. And we can get into the war now. Establish one line. Okay. That's the brother right there. See, I have a room. See that? It's a room where I compile my stuff at. And it's a secret room. It's called the Revival of Islam. Mahra. Yep. And I deal with Ar-Rahman, Allah, the land of Shem, Shemite, Syria, Yemen. Okay. Here's what. Well, we already went there, but I'll run this real quick. I'll run through this real quick. Okay. Well, we already established, but I want to, there we go again. So Ma'ad ibn Anan is an ancient ancestor of Qusay. All right. Remember that name, Quda'a, because that's connected to Mahra. Quda'a. That's his children. Ma'ad ibn Adnan, known for Islamic prophet. Okay. Okay. So that's Az. Okay. Fatima bint Sa'd was the daughter of Fatima bint Sa'd was daughter of Sa'd of Banu, or the children of Az of Yemen. So she is the paternal great grandmother and maternal great grandmother of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so he's got a long line in Ethiopian. Kuda'a. Okay. Kalam, most famous Huseps were Hamdan. Okay. Okay. Naturally enough, the competition between Kalan and Himyar, which are 2 tribes in Yemen, and Mirab and Saba, they were Sabian tribes. Naturally enough, the competition between Kalan and Himyar led to the evacuation of the first and the settlement of the second in Yemen. In ancient times, they inhabited Midrib, the capital of the Sabian kingdom. We already established that. This land's name was Gated. Okay. All right. So, let me click out of that. That was the piece I wanted to use, but that's all right. I got so much in here that I've been putting together. And now on this day, want to mess up on me. Okay. So when you read the story of Saba inside the Quran, you see where it talks about it, the damned failed and stuff like that. Now you know what it's talking about. Okay. So we're in my room. Yeah. Okay. Okay, here we go. Boom. All right. All right, fast us. Okay, mountain in Yemen called Mount Habash. There's a connection, perhaps a connection between the name of this mountain and the Habash. Abyssinians who immigrated to Africa and gave their name to the land that adopted their name, Habasha or Habasha. They also say that Geese or Geesan, as they are also called, something of Philly. He says, from an area near Aden. They are of the southern Arab origin, and they migrated to Abyssinia and established a kingdom there. The Abyssinian language called Geese, or the language of Geese, was named after them. Nashwan ibn Himari the Mahra are Yemeni tribes stemming from Kuda'a. They are progeny of Mahra, son of Haydan, son of Kuda, from whence the Madri camel takes its lineage. Kitab Shams al-Ulum Muntaqabat fi Akbar al-Yaman. Okay. Salim Yasir al-Madri says, the inhabitants of Madra are the original Arab tribes that settled in the south of Arabia in a region known and the antiquity as Al-Aqaf. So when you go to your Quran and you see Surah Al-Aqaf, the sand dunes, now you know, is part of the land of Mahra. Again, another portion of Habash or Ethiopian, because they're connected to Kuda'a. These tribes descend from Haydan and their ultimate progenitor known as Mahra bin Haydan, all the way to that name again, Yaru. These tribes were contemptuous with a number of kingdoms of ancient South Arabia, such as the kingdom of Qataban and kingdom of Himyar. There's Dr. Ben telling people to get along the straight path. Purpose of my Suleiman. Okay. Y'all have probably seen this, but now to put it more in context now. I've been posting some of this stuff. You've seen it. But now maybe to put more of a understanding now what I'm saying. You got specific names in your head instead of the name Arab or Black Arab. In a way, we got to get rid of that name because that's not really being specific about Mahra or Habasha, Ethiopian, or none of that. And that word actually stops us from being able to say, hey, well, specifically, this is African, you know. But here is part of what Al-Rumi in his famous poem called Al-Jamiyah, you insulted them, the family of Muhammad, because of their blackness, while there are still pure-blooded black-skinned Arabs. However, you are blue-eyed. The Romans have embellished your faces with their color. Shams al-Din Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Uthman, the Abi, said when the Arabs said that a person was white, they meant that she had a black complexion with a weak colored undertone. These are Mahra right here. That right there is a Sabian statue. Later on, you'll be seeing it. And next to him, now he looked like he'd be Somalian, or he's related to Ethiopian, you know, or he is Ethiopian, but he's Mahra. You know, these see, this is what they call black with a wheatish complexion. The undertone is golden like, almost like a brownish, you know, So definitely, these is what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they came up out of Arabia, what they was looking like. More like that right there. See? That's a wheatish complexion. It's black, but it's got a undertone. Almost like a gold, almost like a, reddish golden almost type. And some of them pride themselves against the jet blacks. And I'm going to show you the difference, what I mean in a second. Because we're going to get into the other stuff when we go back. We're just going back in history right now. Because we're going to go beyond this too. Because you got to remember the Habisha. These are the Habisha. These are Mahra. These are the original Arabs. Black Arab, Giz, etc., etc. These went over to the Oromo, Eritrea. So these right here will be related to Amharic. These would be to speak the Semitic language of Amharic, Eritrean, the Semitic tongue, right? And then they went over to what you call Kush. We're talking about Kush, the main area where they lived at, and they're part of the Aksum Empire with the Bijas, the Oromo, and the Agu, and they mixed lineage. So we come up out of that. Now, this from Nubia. Okay. Now, this is what we mean when we say red and black. The difference in color. The Masi people paint their bodies. Right? They, Masai or Masa speakers, which is related to Nur and Dinka in the Sudan areas. Sudan people paint their bodies in different colors. There has been prejudice and fighting in ancient times between the red Nubian, who use red ochre as part of the culture, and black Nubian, who does not. So in ancient times, now some of these, when they had this like this wasn't just sometimes paint, although it is a red ochre, right? But there were some that were actually that color. And this is what, sometimes, when you go into the, for example, you go to the Oromo, in the Oromo, language, Wa'ak is called the one and only God. You go to the Semitic languages, Allah, Al-Illah is the one and only God. So it's the same God. One is the Cushitic way of saying it. The other one is the Semitic way of saying it. And the two peoples eventually mix. The point is that according to, when the Cushitic tongue, when they said Wa'ak, black was sacred. Black is a sacred color because those are the first people who were made. So, with this type of psychology or mentality, a person would understand that if a person's in his lower nafs or her lower nafs, they could become prejudiced based on that and say you are not as close to God if you have a reddish tone compared to somebody with a dark jet black tone. So this is where the prejudice would come up at. Am I more closer to the blackness of sacredness or you? So there was a form of little, competition, even in Africa before there was, white people coming along, but they the worstest at it, you just put it like that. So that would be your black. Now, you notice one's not wearing the same thing we're wearing. They're almost similar, but the fine details is, it matters some in the culture. The fine details matter, even if it's a little bit. So but that part is for something that I'm going to use later. I'm developing, something about Nubia and Sudan later on, but this will be one of the things I use. So this is a room basically I go to. I start utilizing before I come out and actually say something. So you've seen this, but now you'll get a perspective of what I'm saying now. So Ham is right here if we're going Torah orientated. Shem is over here. Now this is Arabia. This is over there by Egypt, but right now they calling it Cush. This is Shem, but this is where the Habash are from. That's why they speak a Shemitic language. Ophir or Afir, that's where no, that's a different one. Okay. You see the Sabta, Havila, okay. But you change it to there. So we got Shem, we got Ham, and you got the same map, Egypt or Kemet, and Shem is actually Arabia. Okay, so the whole point, Israel right there, but really all that, that's where they're from. Been mixed on. Okay, so we get to this now. Now I did a paraphrase. You saw it, but now you understand when I said the Eritrean scholar. The Eritrean African scholar Bayan Nagash states about the African Shemites, Habash and Giz, quote, Abyssinian history goes back to two Arabian tribes, Hibeshet and Gaz, both of whom are right. The origin goes back to Humar. You saw that. So now I add my own statement. These are one of the main original African Arabs. And now you know why Bilal was made to stand on the Kaaba to call the Adhan. So in actuality, the story that we're given, this is in Yemen and this is Mount Habash. Okay. Mount Habash in Yemen. This is actually a GPS map. So it's there. So you know the Habashi, they originate from Yemen. Okay. Here we go. So remember I said the name Kuda'a, and this brings it together. Mahra. Here we go. Dr. Jafar Abdul Salid Dhafari, Dean of I know it's a dean of university, but still I want the name to show up. SubhanAllah. Okay, well, this map before I go back to that. So now you have the same map with Shem and Kemet, but now it says South Arabia and Kingdom of Aksum. And look how close they are. So same thing, same thing. All right. Now you know why Bilal called the Adhan, why Bilal was put up there, because Prophet Muhammad SAW put him up there, because you already understand now. Okay, Kuda'a tribe set out in their first immigration from the hills of Habasha and Mount Habash and Mount Mahra, which formed the highlands that were known as hills of the Habasha. That map I just showed you, that mountain. Habasha found in the land of Mahra. So actually that mountain called Habasha is found in the land of Mahra. Now, Mahra is one of the, Mahra is name of the land. So all of the people can be called Mahra, or all the people can be called Habash. Either or. It's interchangeable because some people are called after a mountain, the name of a mountain. Some people are given names based upon the actions that a particular group does, and all those names apply to them. So you can call a person a Habashi, Ethiopian, if you want to translate as that, or you can call a person a Maharat. Maharat and Habashi is the same people. because there's two mountains there where they used to live at, and there's hills there, as the hills of Habasha, found in the land of Mahra. From there, their clans spread to Muka and Muzai along the Red Sea. They set up their tents in that part of the southern Arabian Peninsula, but part of them that settled in Tehama. Now, Tehama is a mountainous region, remained there for a while. Then they crossed the Red Sea. The Red Sea is that map I just showed you. So they crossed from South Arabia and they crossed into what you saw is called the Aksum, Kingdom of Aksum. Okay, the Kingdom of Aksum. Departing from Muzari, or a coastal town nearby, and they settled on the western bank of the Red Sea, Africa. The Aksumite kings used to have the title King of Giz, Ramazubarim, King of Saba, Dur-Radin, and Hadrama, and its nomads in Najd and Tihama. And that's the map. That is actually more closer to the truth. This is actually a map from Eritrea. So right here, instead of it saying Arabia or saying Shem, which is true, you have Himyar, which is Yemen, Saba, and over here you have Habasha, Ethiopian. They all mix. Now Hadramat is the area it is said that Eber, the son of Abraham, established. Okay. So the Saba, the Himyar, the Habasha, they came over here to the Aguz and Cush and Bejas and Aksum, and they all mixed. So this is where you get your Sabian, Cushite, you get your Habasha, Ethiopian, Cush, Agu mixed with Himyar or Sabians, and people get all confused about, oh, were they Cushites? Were they Shemites? Were they, why is there two names? Why is there Saba and Seba? Why is there, Cush Sheba? And why is there a Shemitic Sheba? You know, they don't understand quite. But now you understand. All right. Kuda'a. That's the Mount Jabal in Yemen and Habash. Okay. So we're coming up out of that now. Now we're going to get into the, I got to top this off. Yeah, I know this is long, but that's all right. Come up out of that. Had some mess ups along the way, but alhamdulillah. Come on. All right, out of that. Okay, so we're scrolling down. You know, it's getting late for people. That's all right. Oh, that's my thing about blind following and things of that nature and purpose. It's a lot. I'm doing something on that later. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Let's do this fast now. All right, we're gonna get to Mara soon. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna skip this. I'll be back up there in a second. I'll be back in a second because I want to come around. I'm gonna use this first, and then we're gonna get into it real quick. All right. So Mahri. Now this is from about the site from Mahra people. So a Mahri person says Maharima, also known as Arab Salah. Somali is one of the largest tribes and a sub-tribe of Himyarites. Now remember, Himyarite also is synonymous with Amharic. And it says inhabiting the Al-Madra government Yemen and other countries in the Arabian Peninsula, such as countries of the Arabian Peninsula, such as the United Arab Emirates, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. The Maori also inhabit the autonomous region of Puntland in northeastern Somalia. So you'll hear Nile Valley people often talk about Punt, and the land of Punt and Foot. Well, Somalia is part the land of Punt, and the Madri people dwell there too. So Puntland was where your incense and many of the frankincense and stuff like that, the trees grow at. Yemen is sometimes included in that because they actually grow frankincense and stuff like that too, just the same as that area. Kemetic people, they sometimes call it Taneta. It's one of the places of Taneta where the some of the Tamarians in Egypt say they came from. They say they came from Punt, but the mother tongue Madri, but they also speak Arabic and Somali. So come up out of there. All right. So here we go. So now we're gonna get into Mahra. Alhamdulillah. We're going to get into Mahra real quick. Okay. All right. Remember that statue? That's the body of the statue I showed you with the Somalian, the reach. I see. I always reaching in Somali. What was I saying? Where the Mahra brother was standing, and they put the head in comparison. Okay. So this is going to start off a little bit, but you don't need to be confused no more because I just showed you, the basic, and that was just a basic breakdown. I actually didn't really get that deep, to tell you the truth. But there's some confusion about the Quranic Sabians and the Sabians. No, there's not. We know that now, the Sabiun, I mean, they're right there in Yemen. They was right there in Yemen. And we know the meaning of Sabi means to go out and why. So the argument between, well, Sabi means to go out from one religion, or does it mean a people who went out, it's both this, it's all the same. It's all the same. So there's no reason to be confused. Okay. The Sabians believe to belong to Prophet Noah. They have been connected with both Yemen and Eritrea. Although there is some debate if the Quranic Sabians and Kushite Sabians are the same. Of course they are. There are some similarities to the Sabians which cannot be ignored. Of course not. Similarly, the name Sabians, Arabic Sabiun, although one begins with Sheen and the other with Saad, this minor difference can be attributed to the translation from the southern Semitic language in Yemen to Arabic, and Marmaduke Pickthall's translated the Quran. He attributes the Sabians to Cushitic, and they are when they mixed, and there's two. So Sabians, the etymology of the root word Sabiun points to the origins, either in, now these guys think it's Syriac. Well, Syriac is a Shemitic language. Now Mandic, word Sabian. Now let me tell you about the Mandics. In the Abbasid period, with that way after the time of the Prophet, there was a group called Hurrians, and these Hurrians were idol worshippers or pagans. And so in order to be protected, because the Abbasid Caliph had a policy that if you was of a certain type of paganism, you could, you can be killed and stuff like that. So these guys, the Hurrians, they said, well, we come up under the Mandics. They said, well, we come up under the name Sabian. So they were saved. They was able to practice their religion. But that was just something, for them to do as a ploy to not be harassed and oppressed by the Abbasids. So it says, and suggests that a man of religion originated Sabians who came under influence. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Snake alphabet. Both come from Yemen. Lempri's classical dictionary refers to a town of Saba in Arabia. Sabaku Sasabikan, king of Ethiopia. See that? So that's Lempri's classical dictionary. So they even have it in there. Saba in Arabia, Saba Sabaku, or a king of Ethiopia. Sabai, a people. So they even telling it right there. And actually I came like this right here. I got this from a site. I didn't put this little thing together right here. I came to a site and I wish I could find the site, but whoever, if this video gets to that person who made this site, it really helped me a lot because the other stuff I collected, but this helped me a lot to bring stuff together. Both come from Yemen. There we go. Yemen's classical dictionary refers to a town of Saba in Arabia. Okay, we just read that. Okay. We're about to get into modern second. Saba, a town of Arabia, was known as Sana'a, which is Yemen, and the town of Sabitra in Syria. These are clues where Saba was located. Okay, Bible scholars label Sabian and Sheba, Sabians, could possibly refer to both Sheba and Seba, as it does. The island of Miro near Ethiopia. And of course it would be now, was known as Suba. So that is the Cushite word for Saba. Suba. We have Sub tribe in Sudan, the Isubu Bantu tribe. Okay, so now we're going back a little bit. So we know that the Sabians, the black Habash mixed with these Suba from Sudan, and that there's a Bantu also of Sudan, the Isubu Bantu tribe, which a lot of people say the African Americans have a lot of Bantu. Okay, that gets into Nubia later. We have Sabat River in Ethiopia and Wabi Shabili Stream. The New Bible Dictionary notes similar to names Seba and Sheba. Both mentions a town called Sabai and a harbor called Saba on the Red Coast. Southern Arabia also differs in the spelling of the two names. In Hebrew, Seb, Seba, Seba, Sheba. Okay. And the Prophet Muhammad and his followers were thought to be these Sabians. And there you have it. Kings of Sheba and Seba offer gifts. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers were thought to be these Sabians, following the Deen way of life, 5 daily prayers, and had the same declaration, La ilaha illallah, and fasted 30 days. The Quran mentions it. So, like Prophet ﷺ said, this is nothing new. This is a reconfirmation of what came before. So, Islam is African. If you want to, give it that name. I should have did this when I was not as calm so I could be animated. Some people like animated, but that's all right. Hopefully the information is animating instead. I don't even know if anybody's here no more. That's all right. I can't even see no comments.